Hi, this is Susan Broder from Speak Languages and Travel the World, your English teacher here to help you practice your fluency. I hope you've already subscribed. If you haven't, don't forget to subscribe here. And don't forget also to download my fast fluency exercises, which are down in the description below. Just press the link and you can get them. So I'm here today and I'd like to talk to you about chunks. But before I do so, please write to me in the comments box or in the chat actually just tell me where you're from, because I'd really like to know where you're listening to me from. It's really exciting to know where everyone is and where they're writing to me from, so I know also what kind of audience I have, if they're more from one part of the world rather than from another part of the world. So it's a beautiful day today, but rather windy. And I'd like to explain to you what chunks are. Now, chunks are groups of words. Sometimes phrasal verbs could be a chunk. Sometimes, yes, groups that fit nicely together. So chunks is a very general term, and then it can be subdivided into smaller parts like collocations or fixed expressions. But for you, all that's important is to know that a chunk is a group of words that fit nicely together. And if you use them correctly, then you'll just sound more natural. So many people, they have difficulty understanding that you don't usually learn words all separately and then put them together like Lego pieces, but they are actually groups that make you sound natural if you use them like that. So the best thing to do is to learn them together. And if you learn them together, you'll sound natural and they're just easier. So let me see if I can give you some examples. Let's have a look here. I wanted to share something with you, oh yes, I suppose I'll start with this, which is quite typical. I don't know if we can really call it a chunk, but in any case it's something important for you to learn. So I have a lot of students who want to apologize when they come to my lesson late. So the expression would be to be late. But depending on where you're from, there are different combinations. And most of my students say what's written here at the bottom of the board: I'm sorry for the late. Now, that's absolutely wrong. You can't say I'm sorry for the late, but there are two other ways. So you can say I'm late. I'm late is, yes, an expression. And so you can say I'm sorry I'm late. Now, if you learn them together, you don't have any other problems. You don't need to understand why it's this kind of construction. You just learn it as it is. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late. If you want to explain a bit better that you are arriving late, so using the continuous tense, you can say I'm sorry for being late. So they're both correct. I'm sorry for being late. Both are correct, and both you can learn just as a fixed phrase, and so you won't get it wrong. So if you ever want to apologize that you're late for work or at an appointment with a friend that you're meeting at a cafe, don't say I'm sorry for the late, but I'm sorry for being late. I'm sorry I'm late. Okay, so this was I often get as a mistake. Now, I teach all age groups, and so I have various things that I teach depending on the age group, obviously. Some things are more general and some are more connected to the age group. So first of all, when you meet someone, you can say good morning. Now you'll know that very well, and you'll never have thought of it as a chunk, but it is actually a chunk. Good morning, or nice to see you, nice. These are all chunks. And if you learn them like that, it's that much easier. Nice to see you, nice to meet you. Now, depending on your situation, you could not remember if you have to write the date somewhere, you're filling out a form, or someone asks you to write the date for some reason and you can't remember. You can say, what's the date today? Now, that's a fixed sentence. There are other ways of saying it, but that's one of the most natural. You can also say, what day is it today? But it's more referring to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The date is actually the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd. So what's the date today? If you learn it as a fixed expression, as a chunk, it'll be that much more natural. It's a little bit difficult to pronounce because you have the date today all very close with your tongue coming in and out. So maybe you could repeat it after me. Today. The date today. The date today. What's the date today? Okay. Another one is when you're asking about the weather, for example. So what's the weather like? Your friend calls you and says, oh, I'm on holiday at the Seychelles. It's wonderful. So you could ask, what's the weather like? Or I went skiing and the weather wasn't so good. Oh, what was the weather like? So this is a chunk that you can learn, as you can learn what's the time, how are you? And the typical answer will be fine, thanks, unless you have something negative to say, like, oh, I have a terrible backache. How are you feeling? Very well, thanks. So how are you? How are you feeling? These are all chunks. These are questions. There are many, many more chunks, and I can't give you an infinite list. You have to learn them as you're going along. But if you pay attention to the way people speak, also in songs, in films, in books, you'll notice that they always come together. For example, there's, by the way. So if you just remembered something, you can say, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. So this is a chunk. Or if you want to give someone some advice, if I were you, I would. Or for you, if you want to explain that something is a long distance away, oh, it's far away. So far away is a chunk. Or if someone tells you something which is exciting, oh, that sounds exciting. So these are all chunks. Or if you want to also learn, where's the, and then whatever you're looking for. It's just easy to learn it as a chunk. Where's the salt? Where's the pepper? Pass me the salt, pass the pepper. Chunks are also used in, I don't know, when you go to a shop, or in this case, I've got an example of a cafe. What would you like? That's a chunk. What would you like? I'd like, and I'd like whatever, please. Now, I've put a cup of coffee in a square or in a rectangle because, again, cup of coffee, those are chunks on their own. So I'd like a piece of toast, but you could also say I'd like a cup of coffee, I'd like a hot chocolate. Hot chocolate is another chunk. Anything else? Anything else means, would you like anything after you've ordered this? Or also if you go and buy something in a shop, someone will ask you, anything else? Would you like to buy anything else? Is there anything else you need? So anything else is a chunk. And then, how much is that? How much is that? That's another chunk. So if you want to sound natural, you've got to pay attention to the chunks that people use, and try and learn them and imitate them. Here are a couple more. These are more referred to the younger ones I teach. For example, we play a lot of games and we take turns. So it's my turn, it's your turn, it's his turn, it's her turn. Or I ask them to describe things. So how many, I don't know, apples do you see on the tree? How many children do you see in the playground? So these are other chunks. And at the end of the lesson, we have to put things away. So I say, let's tidy up. So that's another chunk. Very useful for all ages are the expressions see you tomorrow, see you next week, see you on Monday. These are chunks. And if you want to wish them well, have a nice day, have a nice weekend, have a nice holiday, have lots of fun, enjoy yourself. These are all chunks. So I can't give you an infinite list of chunks to learn. You'll just have to notice them. But they sound more natural than if you use other words to say the same thing. So I can't think of any awkward example. But, you know, every language sounds right. And that's the important thing. You have to take the group of words that everybody uses, and that will sound right. It'll sound natural. If you think in your own language and try to put together words which are correct and even grammatically correct, but they don't sound natural, then it's no good, because it just doesn't sound like a native speaker. So my advice to you is pay attention to the way people speak, also when you're reading, when you're listening to songs, and notice the things that are often repeated, and maybe note them down in a notebook and try using them yourself. Since I often recommend speaking to yourself, you can then try and concentrate on one or two of those and use them speaking so that they become part of your natural vocabulary. Okay, well, I hope this advice was useful to you. Learn your chunks. And if you haven't downloaded my fluency exercises, the link is in the description here below. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye. Bye-bye.